Hi everyone and welcome to a new video, more precisely to the last video devoted to reported speech. In this case we're going to talk about impersonal structures because remember that as we mentioned before, reported speech is used when we want to report things or when we want to share rumors. This is a grammar point that is also covered within the passive because it is a kind of impersonal passive structure, but it's going to be quite useful as well when working with reported speech. So this said, let's get the ball rolling. So as I have mentioned in previous videos, we use reported speech when we want to tell somebody something that another person has told you. Remember Arnold's message? Well, in this case, Arnold said something like, I love you even more than yesterday. And when this woman said that to her best friend, he could say something like, he said that he loved me more than the day before. As I've been explaining throughout all these videos devoted to reported speech, there are some changes when changing a sentence from direct into indirect or reported speech. And in fact, there are three main changes. We're going to change the tense, as you can see here. We change that love in the present simple tense into the past. Remember that we always move a step backwards into the past, what is called backshifted. We're also going to change the pronouns because the reference or the personal reference change. And we also change the time or place expression because this kind of reference or the context in general change. Understanding this, we can start working with the different types of sentences. And yes, you mustn't forget that there are three main types of sentences. We can find statement, we can find questions, and we can find commands, requests, and orders. As I explained in previous videos, there is a kind of formula to work with each type of sentences. Let me show it to you. And this is the cheat set I was talking about before. So we need to distinguish between statement, esas oraciones enunciativas, tanto afirmativas como negativas, questions, commands, requests, and orders. So remember that when we work with statements, we need to take into account that we change pronouns, we change the verb tense, we change place and time expressions. The same happens with questions, but it was necessary to change or to distinguish more precisely between yes-no questions and WH questions on the other hand. Yes-no questions are going to be reported by means of if or whether, that means the same, and WH questions with the WH word they give us in the direct speech. We shouldn't forget that we need to include, first of all, the subject and then the verb, because we are moving from a direct to an indirect question. Finally, or last but not least, we need to work with commands, requests, and orders. In this case, even though pronouns and time and place expressions do also change, we need to take into account that the verb tense does not change in the same way they do with statements and questions, but rather with the infinitive form of the verb. In order to do so, we need to distinguish between affirmative and negative sentences. Affirmative sentences are going to be introduced by means of to plus the verb, and negative sentences not to plus the verb. This said, throughout this video, these notions or these grammar notions are essential, but we're going to be working more precisely with different or with an impersonal reporting structure. Indeed, this is what we're going to introduce. It is possible to use the previous structures that I was explaining or that somehow I was reviewing, but throughout the rest of the video, I'm going to explain a different type of structure. This type of structure can be connected to reported speech somehow, but it's also quite connected to the passive. In fact, it's going to be a type of passive. Let me show it to you. So, making things a bit more complex, it is sometimes possible to make use of an impersonal reporting structure. In this case, we are somehow mixing reported speech or the mission, let's say the goal of reported speech, that was to report something, and the impersonal passive structure, ¿vale? La estructura de la pasiva impersonal. Esto está explicado en los vídeos de la pasiva y será algo que esté más relacionado con la pasiva, pero si queremos expandir nuestro conocimiento o reportar cosas, decir cosas de otra manera distinta, podríamos recurrir a ese tipo de estructuras. En este caso, cuando yo tengo una oración parecida, o bueno, sí, parecida con la misma estructura que la oración que tengo en gris, people say that dolphins can communicate, I can report it into two different ways. Podría decirlo de dos maneras distintas. En este caso, si os fijáis, la estructura es la siguiente. Tengo un sujeto completamente unknown, a subject that I have no idea, I cannot imagine a face for that people. Es la gente dice, lo que la gente dice. Esta oración está en activa porque tengo un agente en el presente ahí potente. Después, tengo un verbo de decir cosas o de pensar. Just in pink you have some examples. And also well, in green as well. Things like say, think, believe, claim, and these kinds of things are common verbs. Y después tengo una subordinada, que en la mayoría de los casos se introduce con that. A pesar de que en este caso ya tendría mi reported speech de alguna forma creado y podría todavía cambiarlo más a través de una estructura pasiva, ¿vale? La primera estructura pasiva que se me ocurre pues es la más sencilla de todas y es seguir la fórmula que tenéis puesta arriba, es decir, utilizar it, then be conjugated and the past participle and then that and so on and so forth. Esa sería la estructura de la pasiva. Sabéis que la pasiva se forma con el verbo to be y el past participle. Bueno, más precisamente la pasiva perifrástica que se llama en español, que no utilizamos tanto, pero bueno, es muy común en inglés. Entonces, en este caso, lo que hago es pasar de una oración que ya está en reported speech a una oración en pasiva, donde me deshago del sujeto que es people, que no tengo ni idea de quién es, no me les imagino, para decir algo como it is said that dolphins can communicate. O sea, poner un it al principio porque me he deshecho del sujeto, cambiar el verbo de decir o de pensar a una pasiva, is said, y mantener el resto de la oración tal cual. Sin embargo, if we want to sound even more English, there's another possibility. The other possibility is this one, the one that you can see in this light pink, and the one that you create with the formula above. Cuando seguimos manteniendo ese reported speech que yo ya he pasado con esa estructura impersonal, con ese it, que traducido en español sería algo como se dice que los delfines se pueden comunicar, yo podría también decirlo de otra forma, y es a través de el sujeto de la subordinada, ese dolphins, lo puedo poner al principio y decir, bueno, es que it no me gusta tanto, lo quito, vacío ese hueco y lo relleno con el sujeto de la subordinada, sigo manteniendo mi verbo de pensamiento o de decir cosas en pasiva, en este caso tengo que poner are porque dolphins está en plural, y después meto la oración en infinitivo. So, dolphins are said to be able to communicate. ¿Por qué meto la oración en infinitivo? Pues porque me estoy deshaciendo de la subordinada de alguna forma. Y al igual que haría en español y metería un infinitivo, lo hago también en inglés. Entonces, como me deshago de that, pues tengo que meter la oración con to. Sin embargo, según el tiempo verbal, en el que aparezca la oración en activa, esto me va a afectar a la oración que yo meto con ese to. Si mi verbo, como es el caso, aparece en un presente o en un futuro, será directamente el to más infinitivo, como podéis ver en rosita. Sin embargo, si el verbo estuviese en perfecto, tendría que crear la estructura to have and plus participle. Y finalmente, si el verbo estuviese en continuous, in a continuous form, I need to create it by means of to, be, plus the verb with ing. Es decir, eso es un poquito más complejo, pero también tiene pues su interés. And finally here we can see a summary of everything with a different sentence. In this case we have a sentence that has nothing to do with the previous one, but it keeps the same structure. Tendría esa misma estructura de una oración que ya está de por sí en reported speech. Es decir, people claimed that the president knew about it. En este caso pues sigo manteniendo mi estructura en reported speech. Ahí la tengo, una oración en activa que además pues ya vendría de algo tipo, yo qué sé, the president knows about it, entre comillas, como si lo dijese la gente. Entonces, como ya he creado mi reported speech, tengo an unknown subject and I have a saying verb, ¿ok? With a subordinate sentence. Pues tendría dos posibilidades. O bien, me deshago de ese sujeto people, que no tengo ni idea de quiénes son, y lo sustituyo por ese it. Recordad que en inglés ninguna oración se puede quedar sin sujeto. Por eso yo siempre digo it rains y no rains, como podría decir en español, llueve, sin sujeto omitido, ¿vale? En inglés no existe esto del sujeto omitido o sujeto elíptico y por tanto I need to fulfill that position. That I can do it with it, Then, since the verb appears in past simple, I change it into past simple passive, was claimed, and I keep the subordinate sentence as it is. Esta sería la pasiva fácil, es una pasiva impersonal, tal y como se conoce. Sin embargo, podría ir más allá, sonando más inglés, con una estructura en infinitivo, que seguiría siendo una pasiva que en español no tiene ningún tipo de correspondencia, pero sí que existiría en inglés. Si yo me canso de poner it delante porque no me aporta nada, podría coger el sujeto de la subordinada, as we've previously seen, I place it at the beginning and I maintain the saying or thinking verb into, well, in this case, into its past form, but using a passive, and then I insert the to sentence, ¿ok? En este caso lo tengo que meter con to have known porque la oración es the president knew, está en pasado. Entonces me fijo en esa estructura que teníamos en rosita y veo que cuando el verbo pues está en pasado y es de alguna manera perfecto, I need to do it with to plus have plus the past participle. And that is exactly what I've done. So, this is it. Just by watching this video, you must be able to report sentences because remember, so as to create impersonal reporting structures, we need that base that is the reported speech. Recordad que para crear ese tipo de estructuras impersonales, que sería ese otro tic, bien con el it o bien con el sujeto de la subordinada y ese infinitivo, necesito partir de una oración que ya está en reported speech. In case you're interested on this issue, you want to practice more and you want to expand your knowledge, I really recommend you to practice with the exercises that you'll find in the description of the video. And in case you find it super troublesome or for whatever the reason you have further doubts, please contact me. This said, have a super nice day and see you soon.